Auschwitz-Birkenau, May 1944. A 13-year-old girl stands before Dr. Josef Mengele as the angel of death. She knows the rules. Those under 16 are not selected for labor. When Mengele asks her age, she doesn't hesitate. 16, she says. He studies her face, pauses, then makes a comment about her appearance that she will never forget. That moment, that lie, saved her life. But it came at tremendous cost. This is the story of Evelina Landová, a girl who survived THERESIENSTADT, Auschwitz, STUTTHOF, and a death march, who witnessed her entire family perish in the Holocaust, who became a Noya, 71,266, and who, 8 decades later, dedicated her final years to making sure the world would never forget. December 25, 1930. Prague, Czechoslovakia. A daughter is born to Emil and Ilse Landa, a girl named Evelina. Her father, Emil, owns a horsehair processing company. Her mother, Ilse, comes from a wealthy family. Her father owns 2 apartment buildings in Prague. The family lives comfortably in a modern 4-bedroom apartment in Prague's Letna quarter with a servant. Surrounded by the cultural richness of one of Europe's most beautiful cities, Evelina enjoys going to school, walking in the park, playing with friends. She has a half-sister, Lisa, 10 years older, from her mother's first marriage. She keeps a pet canary named Puncher. Life is ordinary, safe, predictable. But while Evelina plays in Prague's parks, something dark is gathering across the border in Germany. January 30, 1933. Adolf Hitler is appointed Chancellor of Germany. Evelina is only 2 years old. She has no idea that a man she's never met will fundamentally alter the course of her life. The persecution begins slowly, first in Germany, then spreading outward. March 1938. Nazi Germany annexes Austria in what's called the Anschluss. Austrian Jews faced violence and humiliation in the streets. Refugees flood into Prague, including relatives and friends of the Landa family. They tell stories Evelina doesn't understand. Something about being Jewish. Something about danger. Until that moment, Evelina didn't know she was Jewish. Her family was secular, non-religious. But suddenly, her identity becomes something dangerous. Her feeling of security begins to shake. September 1938, the Munich Agreement. Britain and France allow Hitler to annex the Sudetenland, the border region where ethnic Germans live. Czechoslovakia loses its defensive positions. The country is vulnerable. March 15, 1939. Hitler violates the Munich Agreement and invades. German forces enter Prague. Adolf Hitler himself arrives at Prague Castle and proclaims the protector of Bohemia and Moravia. More than 118,000 Jews, including the Landers, now live under Nazi control. The Nazis don't act all at once. They implement their policies gradually through thousands of restrictions designed to make Jewish life impossible. First, economic measures. Jewish bank accounts are frozen, businesses are confiscated. The Landos lose Emil's company and their savings. They're forced to vacate their 4-bedroom apartment, move into a single room in one of Ilse's father's buildings. 4 families share the apartment now, 1 family per room. Then, social isolation. From September 1939, Jews cannot be outdoors after 8 p.m. They're banned from parks, cafes, hotels, certain streets. They cannot use libraries, theaters, cinemas, swimming pools. August 1940. Jewish children are banned from schools. Evelina is fortunate. Her father enrolls her in the only remaining Jewish school in Prague on Jakmova Street. Classes are overcrowded, held in shifts, morning and afternoon. They have no books. Teachers teach whatever they think might be useful. But at least Evelina is still learning. For now. November 1940. The restrictions multiply. Jews must surrender jewelry, musical instruments, Persian carpets, antiques, telephones, radios. They cannot keep pets. Evelina has to give away her canary, Puncher. Jews are allowed to shop only 2 hours per day. When most items are already sold out, they must travel in the last carriage of trains and trams. They cannot speak to non-Jews or even greet them on the street. September 1, 1941. The final mark of exclusion. All Jews in the Protectorate, including 10-year-old Evelina, must wear a yellow Star of David whenever they're outdoors. She is being transformed from a child into a target, from a person into a problem. With nowhere else to go, Jewish children gather at the Hajibor, the only sports ground where Jews are allowed. There, a German Jewish athlete named Friedrich Hirsch organizes activities. The children respect him greatly. They play games, sing, exercise. For a few hours each day, they can maintain some normality. But even these small refuges are temporary. The Nazi regime has further plans and they're already being prepared. November 1941. The Nazi regime establishes the THERESIENSTADT ghetto in the fortress town of Terezin, about 60 kilometers north of Prague. Jews are told it's a resettlement area, a place where they'll live until the war ends. Many believe it. They pack their belongings, 50 kilograms maximum, and prepare for relocation. The Nazis present it as a model Jewish settlement for propaganda purposes. But the truth is darker. Theresienstadt serves primarily as a transit camp. July 2, 1942. Evelina and her parents arrive in Theresienstadt. They carry their belongings from the railway station at Auschwitz, a 2.4-kilometer walk that's difficult for elderly and sick deportees. At the ghetto entrance, families are separated. Men to one barracks, women to another. Possessions are registered, privacy ceases to exist. Conditions are harsh. Limited running water or electricity. Overcrowding, 60 to 80 people per room, sleeping on 3-tiered wooden bunks. Poor sanitation, no privacy. Food is distributed from central kitchens, a portion of soup, a potato or dumpling, a quarter loaf of bread for 2 days. Minimal nutrition, many become ill, disease spreads rapidly. The daily death toll is significant. But Evelina has support. Her half-sister Lisa, who arrived in Theresienstadt with her husband Frank 7 months earlier, arranges for Evelina to stay in Heim L410, a children's home, in room 28 with girls her own age. Years later, Evelina would recall, "When I think of the difficult years of the war and the Holocaust, there is always a bright point on my mind, our Heim in the ghetto, our room 28. I spent 18 months in Terezin. It is not much in an adult's life, but in the life of a child who was barely 12, it's almost an eternity, and the Heim helped me endure much hardship." But then she would add the painful truth. However, only 15 girls out of nearly 60 who occupied room 28 survived. In the Heim, despite prohibitions against education, prisoners continue to secretly teach the children. Former professors, scientists, artists, they teach mathematics, literature, history, all orally with no books or paper. Evelina works in the gardens, growing vegetables. She's also taught drawing by Friedel Dickhecker Brandesover, a well-known painter. Through art, she finds a way to process her experiences. The head of the children's department is Freddie Hirsch, the same man who organized activities at the Hagibor in Prague. He works to protect the children, to keep them educated, to maintain their dignity. But Theresienstadt is not a final destination. It's a transit point. Of the approximately 140,000 Jews sent to Theresienstadt, nearly 90,000 are deported further east. Roughly 33,000 perish in Theresienstadt itself. Of 15,000 children who pass through the ghetto, only about 10% survive. December 1943. The Landová family, Evelina, her mother Ilse, her father Emil, are selected for deportation to the working camp in the east. That's what they're told. Lisa, now pregnant, stays behind with her husband Franta. Evelina would later recall, "In Terezin, I was deprived of my childhood. I became an adult. I began to think. I came to Terezin as a little 11-year-old girl. But when I left the ghetto in a December transport to Auschwitz, I felt almost an adult." The deportation is in cattle wagons, minimal sanitation facilities, limited food, water, or ventilation. Some deportees don't survive the journey. The journey takes a day and a night. Snow is everywhere. It's the first time in Evelina's life that she's traveled so far from home. Guards accompany the transport with strict orders. As the train approaches Auschwitz, Evelina realizes something terrible. The situation is far worse than she understood. She's overwhelmed by fear. A child's understanding finally confronting reality. December 1943. The train stops, the doors open. The environment is immediately disturbing. Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest concentration and extermination camp complex, where more than 1 million people will perish. Unlike other transports, Jews from Theresienstadt don't face immediate selection upon arrival. Instead, after men and women are separated, they undergo processing. They receive old civilian clothing and worn shoes. Finally, the identification tattoo. A number marked on the left forearm. From that moment, Evelina Landová's identity is reduced. She becomes Nova 71,266. The Landers are placed in the Theresienstadt family camp, B2B. one of several subcamps in Birkenau. It's unusual, families stay together, though sleeping in separate barracks. About 18,000 Jews from Theresienstadt are placed here between 1943 and 1944. It's established for propaganda purposes, to show international observers. But living conditions are severe: insufficient food, forced labor, limited resources, wooden barracks with minimal facilities, 300 prisoners per barrack. Evelina notices something concerning. The prisoners who arrived 3 months earlier appear different. They seem withdrawn and speak carefully. They explain the reality. Auschwitz-Birkenau is an extermination facility. The chimneys visible in the distance are crematoria. At first, Evelina struggles to believe it, but the evidence becomes undeniable. The constant smoke, the selections she witnesses from a distance, the fate of those deemed unable to work. Daily life in B2QB follows a strict routine. Roll calls morning and afternoon, sometimes lasting hours in difficult weather. Food consists of minimal rations, soup at midday, bread with a small portion of margarine in the evening. Prisoners experience chronic hunger. Despite this, they must perform forced labor. Evelina's father Emil works in road construction. Her mother Ilse works in a workshop. One provision exists in the Theresienstadt family camp, the children's block in Barrack 31. During the day, children can stay there until afternoon roll call. The barrack contains small stools where children sit with supervising adults. They engage in activities, sing songs, and receive informal education. The head of the children's block is Freddie Hirsch, whom Evelina knows from Prague and Theresienstadt. He convinced camp authorities to allow this, claiming it would keep children occupied while parents worked. Freddie maintains strict hygiene protocols, insisting children wash regularly and conducting inspections. Because of these efforts, illness rates among children are lower than the general camp population. There's even a choir that performs music. When asked about their songs, Freddie provides carefully worded explanations, but the protection is temporary. Every prisoner in B2B has an administrative notation, SB6. This indicates their fate after 6 months, March 8, 1944. Freddie Hirsch and 300 other prisoners from the September transport are taken away and perish. April 13, 1944, Evelina's father Emil succumbs to tuberculosis. He is 47 years old. June 1944, the remaining prisoners of the December transport, including Evelina, are scheduled for elimination. 6 months in the camp. But in May, new orders arrive. Workers are needed for German armaments production. Those aged 16 to 45 men and 16 to 40 women should report for selection. The doctor performing the selection is Dr. Josef Mengele. Prisoners must present themselves and state 3 things: their identification number, age and occupation. Evelina is 13 years old, below the age threshold. If she tells the truth, she will not be selected for labor. She makes a decision. 71,266, she says clearly. Her identification, 16, she states, adding 3 years to her actual age. Gardener, her work from Theresienstadt. Mengele studies her. Then he sees her friend Jeta nearby. Are you twins? Sisters? Just friends, they reply. Mengele pauses, then makes a comment about their appearance. Evelina would later say, "I didn't appreciate this observation." But her deception succeeds. She's selected for labor transfer. Her mother Ilse, 44 years old, also misrepresents her age and passes the selection. About 2,000 women and 1,000 men pass Mengele's selection. They are transferred to other camps in Germany, Neuengamme, STUTTHOF. The remaining 7,000 prisoners of the family camp are not selected. When the Theresienstadt family camp is liquidated in July 1944, they perish, among them, Evelina's grandmother. Evelina never has the opportunity to say goodbye. Summer 1944. Evelina, her mother Ilse, and other women arrive at STUTTHOF concentration camp near Danzig, today's Gdansk. But their destination is Gutovo, one of 105 STUTTHOF subcamps. As they arrive, some local residents react with hostility, having been influenced by propaganda. 1,000 women, 100 canvas tents. 10 women per tent sleeping on straw. They're forced to perform heavy labor, digging defensive fortifications. Food is inadequate. Poor quality coffee substitute. Minimal bread, soup made from unpeeled potatoes. During summer, they can occasionally supplement their diet. During winter, conditions worsen significantly. Camp staff are harsh. Women face punishment for minor infractions. Approximately 170 to 200 Jewish women perish at Gutowo. Among them, Evelina's mother, Ilse. She succumbs to malnutrition and exhaustion on November 22, 1944. She's full 45 years old. After her mother's passing, Evelina's shoes deteriorate severely. Her friends Annika and her mother provide support. Late November 1944. A new directive. Those unable to work will be returned to STUTTHOF for medical care. The prisoners understand the implications. Evelina walks despite her condition, her feet wrapped in improvised protection. After an arduous march, they discover the railway station has been destroyed. They return to the camp. Their fellow prisoners are surprised. They'd assumed a different outcome, but Evelina's feet are severely damaged. Days later, another order. Those capable of walking will move westward. The others will be transported separately. This proves deceptive. Many of those in the second group face violence. Evelina's friend Annika and her mother are among those targeted, though they survive through quick thinking. As authorities evacuate the camp, they attempt to administer lethal injections. However, the attempts fail. Evelina, positioned away from the main group, is overlooked. Late January 1945, Soviet forces arrive at Gutowo. A Red Army soldier enters the barracks. "It's just Vuta," he says. "Hello." The women understand. They are liberated. 163 women are found alive at Gutowo in severely compromised condition. Among them is Evelina Landová. She is 14 years old. She has lost her entire immediate family. The women are taken to Soviet medical facilities. Evelina later recalls receiving good care from Soviet personnel. During transport, Evelina meets a Russian Jewish pediatrician named Dr. Mero. He offers to take responsibility for her. She adopts the name Evelina Merová. For many years, she doesn't discuss her experiences publicly. Evelina focuses on education. Despite challenges, she eventually graduates in German studies. 1953, she marries Simeon Naimark, an architect. They have 2 children, daughter Irena and son Victor. From 1960 onward, the family regularly visits Prague, where Evelina reconnects with other survivors from Theresienstadt. 1985, Simeon passes away at 55. 1986, Evelina returns to Prague permanently, her childhood home, something she'd longed for. Her son Victor, a painter and sculptor, resides in Frankfurt and Maine. Her daughter Irena, an architect like her father, lives in St. Petersburg. 2009, Evelina publishes her memoir, Belated Memories. But there was still one painful truth to learn. After the war, Evelina discovered what became of her sister Lisa. February 1944, Lisa gave birth in Theresienstadt to a baby boy named Ludicek. In correspondence to relatives, she wrote, "Ludicek brings us so much joy." October 28, 1944. Lisa and 8-month-old Ludicek arrived at Auschwitz-Birkenau on the final transport from Theresienstadt. That same day, they perished. Lisa's husband Franta died during a forced march shortly thereafter. Evelina's entire immediate family, parents, sister, nephew, brother-in-law, were killed during the Holocaust. She was the sole survivor from her family. In her final years, Evelina Merová dedicated herself to education and testimony. She spoke at schools, gave interviews, shared her experiences, because historical memory must be preserved. During conversations in December 2023, she expressed concerns about rising anti-Semitism and intolerance across Europe. She emphasized the importance of learning from history. February 8, 2024. Evelina Merová passes away at 93 years old. 8 decades since the Nazi regime murdered 6 million Jews in the Holocaust, only a few survivors remain to provide first-hand testimony. When survivors like Evelina die, direct historical witness is lost. Today, in the face of Holocaust denial and concerning political movements, it is crucial to preserve and share these accounts, because those who cannot remember the past are at risk of repeating it. In memory of Evelina Merová and the 6 million Jews murdered in the Holocaust, and for the 15,000 children who passed through Theresienstadt, only about 10% of whom survived. May their memory serve as education. May their stories continue to teach future generations.